Today on Judge Faith, she let her best friend borrow her car, but she never expected him to bring it back looking busted.
This ain't a fender bender, dude. You tore up my car.
As I told Chris, I swear I never took my eyes off the road.
He says it was someone else's fault, so she wants to know who's going to pay to get her ride back on the road.
I rolled down my window. She was like, B, what you doing in my man's car? I'm like, your man's car? This is my car. You need to keep your hoochies in check. That's what you want.
Has there ever been a romantic relationship between the two of you?
And later, it's up to Judge Faith to decide which one of these dogs is guilty of biting.
We were walking by one of the park areas, and a pit bull came running out of the park, and the pit bull snapped at my dog.
I'm sitting here asking you, how you know my dogs did it?
Proof in this court is not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's preponderance of the evidence. What's more likely than not to have happened that night?
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor, and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real, and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Crystal Holly says she let her best friend borrow her car, and then he wrecked it. She's suing for damages to her vehicle. Defendant Michael Walls admits he had an accident while driving his friend's car, but says he doesn't owe her money because it was the other driver's fault.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, we have Holly versus Walls.
Thank you, Barbara. Crystal Holly?
Yes, ma'am.
You were suing the defendant, Michael Walls?
Yes.
For $3,224 for damages you say he caused to your vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, how do you know Mr. Walls?
We actually worked together. We used to work together. That's how we met each other. We was best friends for 8 years.
Okay, and how would you describe your relationship?
Really good friends, there for each other like a brother and a sister.
Okay, and
awesome.
so at some point you started loaning your car out to him?
Yeah, he would use my car periodically, because he didn't have a car at the time.
And how often would you borrow her car?
Maybe a few days a week, Your Honor, as needed. If I really had something really important to do, I would.
Would you give her money for borrowing her car, or you just borrowed it?
No, no, ma'am. I would put gas in the tank, things of that nature.
So tell me what happened.
He had called me at work and was like, I got an offender bender. And I said, well, is the other person okay? Are you okay? And he was like, yeah, everything is fine. No damage to the other person's car. Your car is still drivable. So when he came to pick me up at work and I looked at my car, I'm like, what the heck? Like the grill all smashed in, the light thingy is cracked, and I'm like, this ain't a fender bender, dude. You tore up my car.
Was the damage to the front of the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me see a photo. So this is what it looked like?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you let other people drive your car or just Mr. Walls?
No, just him.
Has there ever been a romantic relationship between the two of you?
No, ma'am. Never looked at him like that.
So you're just really, really nice to him?
Yeah,
okay.
Basically. He like a brother to me, so... whatever he need, if I got it, it's his.
So what happened with the accident?
I picked up my lady friend.
What time of day was this?
This is about 10 a.m., a little after 10 in the morning, Your Honor.
Okay, so you picked up a lady friend at 10 a.m.?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I work midnight, so to me, it's, that's my nighttime.
So you're coming off the night shift?
Yes, ma'am. It's just a normal day. Well, Your Honor,
What's going on?
As I was driving the car, now again, I never took my eyes off the road, as I told Chris. I swear I never took my eyes off the road. So I'm looking front and center, and she took it upon herself. She thought that was a good time to tend to me. But again,
That's
Your Honor,
crazy.
it wasn't.
That's crazy.
But that wasn't even a factor, Chris.
That's crazy. That's how you wrecked my car,
But I didn't take my eyes off the road.
That's how you wrecked my car.
No, I didn't.
Your Honor, he always picking up women, had different women in my car. And then I even had this one day, me and my son in the car, Your Honor. Me and my son, my 13-year-old, we driving down the street. Okay, this woman, she pulls up real close behind me and then swerve over to the driver's side on my side, and she ranting and raving and cussing and screaming. I'm looking like, who is this lady? So she cussing me out, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, I didn't cut her off or anything. She was behind me, so I rolled down my window. She was like, B, what you doing in my man's car? I'm like, yo, man's car, this is my car. So she going off. Well, you in Michael's car. What you doing in Michael's car? This ain't Michael's car. This is my car.
I never told her it was my car. I don't
Well,
know.
you done told somebody
Chris,
it was your car.
never
You
told
need
anybody.
to keep your hoochies
Chris,
in check. That's what you
I
need to do.
Okay, so let's get back to the accident. You say you never took your eyes off the road, but your
Never.
lady friend started tending to you.
Correct, Your Honor.
Meaning she started performing some type of sexual act on you?
Correct.
Okay.
That's a shame. That is a shame.
And so,
I still didn't take my eyes off the road.
the accident happens how shortly after she started tending to you?
Probably talking about 5 lights, so maybe about 6 to 7 minutes, somewhere in that.
He shouldn't have been doing that in the first place.
Chris,
Who does that?
I remained
Who
focused.
does that?
I've never.
Do you
So
remain
how did the accident,
focused?
tell me, how did the accident happen? Like, what happened?
Coming up on Judge Faith.
Have you ever heard of don't text and drive?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna give you some advice. Don't sext and drive. Because accidents will happen.
And later,
I asked them if they lived around there and if their parents were home. They said yes.
He followed him home.
I walked with the girls
You didn't
to their
walk, you
house.
drove.
Who follows 2 little girls home at 9 o'clock at night? If
I
that
don't know,
was the
maybe
issue,
someone who just
he
got
should've
bit by
called
their
the police.
dog.
But the wife.
I mean,
plaintiff Crystal Holly says the defendant had an accident while driving her car. She's suing for damages to her vehicle. Defendant Michael Wall says the other driver was at fault, so he doesn't owe the plaintiff any money.
how did the accident happen? Like, what happened?
There's a guy in front of me. All of a sudden, he just slammed on his brakes, Your Honor.
Right.
That was it. He just slammed on his brakes.
So he stopped short,
Yes, ma'am.
according
Sure
to
did.
you, and you hit him from behind.
Yes, ma'am.
And so what happens? You get out of the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Are the police called?
Yes, from that point, once I slammed into the back of him, Your Honor, I got it. Well, the first thing I did, I talked to my lady friend, and I told her, I gave her my key, Your Honor, and I told her to go ahead and go, because I lived right around the corner, to go ahead and go to my house.
Okay.
Okay?
What was the reason you did that?
Your Honor, she's married, so I didn't want her to get involved in anything. Okay, so I gave her my key.
Okay. So you didn't want her name on a police report?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Too
Got
much, you know, for her own safety. You know, never know how he's going to react. I don't know.
Have you ever heard of don't text and drive?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to give you some advice. Don't sext and drive because accidents will happen. The general rule is when you hit someone from behind, there is a presumption that you're at fault because you're supposed to be following them at a large enough distance to where if they do stop short, you'll be able to stop as well. I don't think that was the issue here. I think you were distracted because something else was going on in your car as you described. He calls you and tells you about the accident.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you report this to your insurance company?
Well, at the time, my insurance had lapsed, and it was lapsed for like maybe a week or in a couple of days. I was waiting until I got my paycheck to reinstate it.
So you did not have car insurance?
No, ma'am,
So
but-
you're not supposed to be driving the car?
Correct.
And he certainly isn't supposed to be driving
But he
it.
told me he had his own personal insurance. That's why I let him drive my car.
Did you tell her that?
Your Honor,
What kind of insurance would you have?
3 weeks
No, I want you
before
to
that.
answer. I just asked you a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you tell her that you had your own personal insurance? What kind of insurance would he have? His own car insurance?
No, ma'am. It's, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Your Honor. It's a insurance bond to where, like, you know, you can drive like rental cars, things of that nature.
Did she
But-
tell you she didn't have insurance on the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you both knew that the car had no insurance, and you're still loaning it out to him, and you're still driving it, which is illegal in your state.
Yes,
You understand?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
May I see the estimate for damages?
Yes, ma'am.
You have given me an estimate for your car which exceeds the market value for your vehicle. It's a 2000 Buick Park Avenue. I do find that you are responsible for this accident. You say that it was because someone else stopped short. I say that it was because you were distracted, because you had other things going on in the car at the time. And if you want me to believe that you were absolutely not distracted and that someone else stopped short and that's the reason why the accident happened, I'm just telling you, I think that's ridiculous. All right, based on the circumstances. So I'm going to order you to pay the plaintiff, and you can't let your insurance lapse. Because I can tell you right now, there are some judges that would not give you a dime because you cannot drive around with no insurance, which is illegal, and then take the extra step of loaning it out to someone like him who you know having problems. If people are driving up to you, yelling at you and cursing at you, this is not the person you want to be loaning your car to. You understand?
I know now.
So there are some people who would not give you any money. But based on the circumstances here and everything I've heard here today, I am going to order you because I don't think you should get off scot-free here. I'm going to order you to pay her the Blue Book value of her car in good condition, which is $2,020. Verdict for the plaintiff.
Thank you.
Plaintiff Thomas Iacon says the defendant's pit bull bit his leg. He's suing for the costs of medical bills. He's accompanied by his wife, Tracy Iacon. Defendants Danielle Alcocer and Carmen Green say it was the plaintiff's own dog that bit him, and now he's trying to pin it on their dog to get money.
Thomas Iacon?
Yes.
You are suing the defendants Carmen Green and Danielle Alcocer, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes.
For $1,819 for medical bills resulting from a dog bite as well as pain and suffering?
That's correct.
Okay, and you brought a witness with you today?
Yes, it's my wife.
Were you there to see the incident?
I was, yes.
So we'll start with you, Mr. Iacon. Tell me what happened here.
March 19th, 9 p.m., we were out walking our 3 dogs through the neighborhood.
What kind of dogs do you have?
We have 2 golden retrievers and a little Shih Tzu Chihuahua mix.
And were your dogs on leashes?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
We were walking by one of the park areas, and a pit bull came running out of the park and approached my dogs, and they were getting ready to fight, and the pit bull snapped at my dog as I was pulling my dogs to try to pull them away, and the pit bull got me in the leg.
Put the photos up, please. Oh, these your dogs?
Those are my dogs, yes.
Okay. Very
Desperate
cute.
need of grooming.
Let's see Isis. So were you injured?
Yes.
How were
drew
you
blood. Just, I guess, a tooth dug into my leg.
You brought photos of your injuries?
Yes.
Let me see those.
Wow.
Is that your leg?
Yes, that's my left leg.
All right. That looked like it hurt. Okay, so when you say the pit bull ran out of, was it a park area?
Yeah, it's a common area park. In
Okay, so the
neighborhood.
pit bull ran out. Did you see anyone with the dog at that time?
Not immediately, but this all happened within a minute. So
Okay.
At that time.
Then eventually you say you saw 2 girls,
The 2
approximately
girls.
what age?
I believe 12, 14.
And what happened?
I asked them if they lived around there and if their parents were home. They said yes.
He followed him home.
So I gave my dogs leashes to my wife, and she kind of hung back by the park. I walked with the girls
You didn't
to
walk,
their
you
house. They went inside and got their mom, which is Carmen. She came out and told
what
her.
did he tell you? What did he tell you?
They told me that my kids told me that a guy was following them. So when I came out, I'm like, you know, somebody following y'all. When he came out, he was like, your dog bit me. And I was like, what? He said, your dog bit me.
But you saw, so he walked up to you, he said, your dog bit me, and you see he's actively bleeding.
Yes.
Okay.
Just a little. It wasn't running all down his leg. It was like an area where it's bit. But like I said, when the kids did leave the park, they left with leashes. So I don't know if the dogs was in there. He did not tell me that he was talking to my kids. My kids informed me that they were being followed.
Okay, so but then you learn why, you say they were being followed, he said he'd walked with the girls.
Yeah,
But then you
he did.
learn why. He tells you, your dog bit me, and you see that he's bleeding, and what happens after that?
But who follows 2 little girls home at 9 o'clock at
And not
night?
the-
If
I
that
don't
was
know,
the
maybe
issue,
someone who just
he
got
should've
bit by
called
their
the police.
dog.
But the wife.
He should have called the police.
See, but Your Honor, she claims.
I mean, there's no dispute
What
that
kind of woman- let me
he's
ask you this.
bleeding.
What kind of
Wait, first of all,
woman-
who are you? I don't.
This is my dog.
Okay.
And she
Were
was
you
house
there?
sitting. No, I was in Florida.
Oh, so you weren't even in the state when this
No,
happened?
I was
Okay.
not in the state.
All right.
My
But-
thing is who, as a woman, Who allows their husband to follow two little girls home? If that was the issue, why didn't she go and talk to
So, ma'am,
her?
let's just be clear. We now know he wasn't trying to commit a crime.
We don't know
The girls
that.
weren't hurt. He's not a child molester. He
I
was
don't know
bit
that.
by a dog.
I don't know that.
He was bit by a dog. We all
said
know
he
this,
was bit
right?
by a dog.
You think he bit
said
himself?
he was bit
You
by
think
a
he bit
dog.
himself?
No, but he also pushed my dog. Did he tell
Do you
that?
think he bit his own
pushed
leg?
My
That's
dog.
what I'm asking you.
I'm not saying that he didn't get bit. I'm saying I
Have
don't
a
know
seat.
who
You
it
weren't in
was.
the state. You can have a seat. You were not in the state. Have a seat.
Coming up, is Thomas setting ISIS up to take the blame? Or is Carmen just playing games?
Did your kids tell you that ISIS was not on the leash?
No, they did not tell me that.
Do you think that they thought they would get in trouble if the dog was off
I
the
have
leash
no
and it bit
idea.
someone,
When
perhaps?
I mean, a man following them, so probably they nervous. I don't know.
Okay, so what reason would he have to make up this entire story to frame ISIS? Any particular reason?
Plaintiff Thomas Ianson says the defendant's pit bull was off-leash and bit his leg. He's suing for the cost of medical bills. Defendants Carmen Green and Danielle Alcacer say their kids didn't see whose dog bit the plaintiff, and the plaintiff is trying to get them to pay for his medical bills.
Did your kids tell you that ISIS was not on the leash?
No, they did not tell me that.
Do you think that they thought they would get in trouble if the dog was off
I
the
have
leash
no
and it bit
idea.
someone,
When
perhaps?
I mean, a man following them, so probably they nervous. I don't know.
Okay, tell me what you said you were there. What did you see?
Right. As he was saying, we were walking by the park, and it was dark, and the dog came running out of the park, got in our dog's face, mainly in one of our dog's face. So he tried to pull our dogs away because they started going at each other. And then in the process, as he's pulling them away, the pit bull bit him on the leg.
Okay. He doesn't know you, right?
Yes,
you guys
he
don't know each other.
me, but
and you don't know.
You know, people
I had
sue
never
each
seen
other
him
money.
until that night.
Okay, so what reason would he have to make up this entire story to frame ISIS? Any particular reason?
Hey, you got 3 dogs, and maybe he tried to push this dog, and one of his dog nicked him. So I don't know.
What is he doing pushing
once,
my dog?
Once you push a dog and
You deserve to get
you don't
bit.
know if the dog's attack or whatever, hey, maybe one of his dogs attacked him, and since he's seen the dog in the park and he want to follow kids, and his wife wasn't there because they don't know, you know, where he been. I don't know. It's like an issue about money because it wasn't even deep in.
Thank you.
I mean, I can understand a dog. It wasn't my dog or whatever, and I did feel bad that he got bit. But I'm sitting here asking you, you know, how you know my dogs did it? I only knew about one dog, Your Honor, not 3 different dogs that he keeps
So
switching
you
the
think
stories.
it could have been one of his own
dogs, yeah,
that
that's
bit
what
him?
I'm saying,
Okay.
yes.
So let me tell you about what the law is in Arizona, in your state where you're from.
And now, Judge Faith rules.
When it comes to dog bites, your state imposes strict liability on owners, and that means unless you have proof that he provoked an attack from your dog, you are responsible. And your state also has a law which says that it can be either or both, the owner or the person who was in control of the dog at the time. Your children had the dog, but your children are obviously under your custody and control. That means you can be held responsible. The dog should have been on a leash. That's the other issue. The dog is supposed to be on a leash at all times, according to leash law in your area. And I believe him, and I credit his testimony when he said the dog wasn't on a leash. And proof in this court is not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's the preponderance of the evidence. What's more likely than not to have happened that night. And I think his story comes across as very credible. In terms of liability, I do find you both to be liable. Now let's talk about damages. I'm going to order you to pay $1,285.66 in hospital bills and $33.75 in the prescriptions, and also his court filing fee. So that's $1,319.41 plus court cost verdict for the plaintiff.
If you or someone you know has a dispute, don't take the law into your own hands. Let Judge Faith rule on it for you. To submit your case, go to judgefaith.com and tell us your story. See you in court.